name's Steve. Over the last year, we've all received clearer advice on how to protect ourselves from COVID-19. Hands, face, space. Well, we know these guidelines very well. And if we want to stand any chance of not getting this horrible virus, then following the simple guidelines of regularly washing our hands, wearing a face mask and keeping social distance from others of about 2 meters, then we will significantly decrease our chance of getting the virus. But COVID-19 isn't the only thing that threatens you and me. Not all things that can harm us affect our physical bodies. King Solomon, who was famously known for his great wisdom, tells us in Proverbs chapter 4 verse 23, above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. Above all else, well, that makes it quite clear that protecting our hearts takes priority over just about everything, really. Of course, it's important to look after our physical hearts by eating the right kind of food, regular exercise, and avoiding bad habits which may have a negative impact on our physical hearts. But the heart that the Bible is referring to is essentially the inner core of a person. The thoughts, feelings, desires, will and choices that make the person who he or she is. So the heart is more than our feelings. It's the center of everything, including our intellect and wisdom. So when the Bible tells us to guard our hearts, it is because our heart is valuable. It's the source of everything we do. Our hearts overflow into our thoughts and our words and actions. Proverbs chapter 27 verse 19, as water reflects a face, so a man's heart reflects the man. The late Derek Prince tells us this: you cannot have the wrong thing in your heart and live right. And likewise, you cannot have the right thing in your heart and live wrong. So what you have in your heart determines the course of your life. So the thing is, our hearts are under constant attack by Satan and by the world. And I'm reminded of the need to protect my heart when I hear about individuals who are quite frankly are pillars in our church, and people who are greatly respected, who have now morally fallen flat on their faces. And I wonder how people like that could have possibly put themselves into such a situation where their integrity is put into question. But then I'm reminded that even the mighty will fall when they stop guarding their hearts. The Apostle Paul instructs us to stay focused in Philippians 4 in verse 8. He tells us to think about whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable. If anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. By ignoring or avoiding or neglecting what God asks of us, we leave our hearts open and vulnerable. 1 Samuel 16 in verse 7 is a verse that has had a huge impact on me, on my Christian life over many years. And it says this: the Lord does not look at the things man looks at. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. So for me, that kind of changed everything. God is not looking at that shop window in our lives, the things that we may do to impress others, and we can kind of put on quite a display at times, but God looks beyond that. He looks into our heart. And in a way, we've got two choices in life. We either set out to please man or to please God. In fact, the Apostle Paul says we make it our goal to please him, to please God. In Psalm 139, the psalmist says, search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. Joyce Meyer said this: God is more concerned about why we do what we do than he is with what we do. I'll say that again because it's good. God is more concerned about why we do what we do than he is with what we do. He's concerned about our motives, what makes us tick. The hidden things is what God is interested in, because from the inner man comes the wellspring of your life. Now, Solomon goes on to give us some pointers in guarding our hearts in Proverbs chapter 4. And the first one is verse 24. Put away perversity from your mouth. Keep corrupt talk from your lips. In other words, watch what you say, because from the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. And so if we're saying the wrong things, if we're, I don't know, there's so many things that we can use our lips for in a wrong, in a negative way, maybe telling lies or speaking slanderous things or filthy talk. We need to stop these things, because we need to address what is the fact that these things are coming from our heart, and it's wrong, and we need to guard against these things. Proverbs 13 verse 3: he who guards his lips guards his life, but he who speaks rashly will come to ruin. The second advice from Solomon is verse 25. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. We need to consider the direction we're going in. We make it our goal to please God with all that we do. That was that wonderful advice from the Apostle Paul. We make it our goal to please God in all that we are and all that we do. Thirdly, verse 26, make level paths for your feet and take only the ways that are firm. And we need to remove any moral hindrance from our lives. I don't know, as you hear this, whether there's something that springs to mind that you know is not right in your life, and it's like a stumbling block for you. And we, in order to guard your heart, you need to remove these things in your life, maybe these bad habits. And we need to live a life of faith and trust in God. If we walk in the way of wisdom, God promises to protect our path, to direct our path, and perfect our path. Fourthly and finally, do not swerve to the right or to the left. Keep your foot from evil. We need to keep our eyes on the Lord. Fix our eyes upon Jesus. Because if we don't, our journey through life can lead to danger, detours, disappointments, and ultimately eternal separation from God. The Bible tells us that there are two pathways in life. One is a broad path which leads to destruction and separation from God. The other is a narrow but straight path which leads to forgiveness and a new life in Jesus Christ. That one life, the broad road that leads to a hopeless end. But that narrow pathway, the other one, leads to an endless hope. With that in mind, above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. Let me just close in prayer. Lord, as the psalmist said, search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any offensive way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting.